Hi, I'm Wayne Liebman. I'm with Indivisible 33 and I'm a delegate in CA 54. I'm a full-time grassroots organizer with SoCal Blue and Field Team 6, and I'm working to help fix California's broken initiative process. I've written a resolution about the Citizens Initiative Review, or CIR. It's a resolution that calls for the Democratic Party to support the CIR process in California. Ultimately, this will mean passing a law, but you don't ask for that in a resolution. The resolution just supports the principle. What I'm going to present to you incorporates the language of the resolution so that when I'm done, it'll be completely familiar to you. California voters in recent decades have been asked to weigh in on an increasing number of complex, highly technical ballot initiatives. This has been accompanied by an infusion of partisan advertising, which, while purporting to educate voters about ballot propositions, in many cases is designed to obfuscate the issues. And such misinformation has become a source of frustration and confusion and bad decision-making on the part of voters. I'm sure I don't need to remind you about what happened with the Uber Lyft proposal or the Schools and Communities First initiative last November. In fact, a recent poll conducted by the Public Policy Institute of California showed that 90% of Californians believe that the initiative process is controlled, at least in part, by special interests. 10 years ago, civic reformers spurred the Oregon State Legislature to establish a citizens' initiative review process that draws on the core principles of deliberative democracy. In a nutshell, the Oregon CIR gathers a paid sample of the state's electorate, a panel chosen by Democratic lottery, to scrutinize statewide ballot measures. One Democratic panel per ballot measure. Not every measure needs one, just the controversial ones. The panel first undergo training in dialogue, deliberation, and bullshit detection to prepare for study and deliberation on the policy issues raised by the measure. Campaign advocates for and against the measure make their case, and they're questioned by the panelists. Additionally, independent experts provide information and respond to requests and questions from the panel. Then the panelists deliberate and produce a 750-word statement that contains key facts and the best reasons to vote for and against the measure. The statement is published in the official voters pamphlet, which is distributed to every Oregon household that has one or more registered voters. This is an overview of the initiative process. Any eligible voter or group can propose an initiative, pay $2,000, and submit it to the Secretary of State, who does a legal review. If that checks out, the proposal petition needs to be signed by 5% of the voters in the previous gubernatorial election within 150 days. If the proposal gets the signatures, the Secretary of State assigns it a number, and the Attorney General gives it a name and a short description. The CIR process would enter here, and then the voters decide. I want to briefly tell you about these Democratic panels because this is a new concept and it's central to the initiative review. So let's just say that democracy is a form of government where everybody can participate in making the decisions that affect them. Democracy literally means people power. If we think of democracy as a continuum, on one side, here it's on the right, we have representative democracy, where we vote in people who are supposed to make laws that represent us. And we know the problem with that. Who do they really represent? On the left, we have direct democracy, as in, say, Vermont and New Hampshire small townships, or in direct referendums, where we say, the heck with you, representatives, we're passing our own laws, like the initiatives we have in California. And the problem with that is it's often a knee-jerk vote without enough reflection, and the process is drenched with special interest money. But there's actually a middle ground. Deliberative assemblies of citizens chosen by lot, Democratic panels, like the panels in the Citizens Initiative Review, because that addresses the problems of money and of voting without enough consideration. So how would it work? Well, here's an idea. One day you get a letter. You have won the lottery, but rather than winning cash, you've won the opportunity to participate in a novel exercise in democracy. You and 23 other Californians, all chosen by lot, are going to help people understand confusing ballot propositions. Together, you're a hologram of the entire state. You don't owe anything to anyone but yourself. You didn't run or get elected. You weren't chosen as an expert, thank God, but because you're an ordinary person. And you have only one job. You're going to get to know your fellow assembly members, and then you're going to be educated by experts. And then you're going to deliberate, facilitated by experts in deliberation. And you're going to come up with that 750-word statement about the ballot initiative. The process will take 4 days, and you'll be paid. Sounds pretty strange, right? Well, actually, you won that lottery before when you were asked to be on a jury. Juries are not elected. They do listen to experts. They're not facilitated when they deliberate, but they work. Not all the time, but sometimes so well that they even set precedents for future cases. And they're a good model for deliberative democracy, which is a worldwide movement that's been growing for 50 years to reimagine democracy in new ways, especially by giving voice to deliberative groups chosen by civic lottery, such as the democratic panels of the Citizens Initiative Review. And these groups are sometimes called mini publics, of which the citizens' jury or panel or assembly are examples. This is Adam Cronkite. He's on the left. And he built an organization called Democracy in Practice that works with school councils selected by lot. In 10 years of doing this in Bolivia, Adam learned three things. First, running for an office and running an office are different skills. Many kids that didn't want to run for council were happy to be on the council if they were chosen. They never would have run, much less been elected otherwise. Second, when you choose by lottery, you see a change in what the council does and in the kinds of problems that get addressed. Lotteries produce a more diverse council group, addressing a wider range of problems, finding more creative solutions. And third, elections are poor predictors of who will excel as council members. This principle is called nobody knows anything. Adam's observations have been studied in other contexts, and it's been borne out that the most important ingredient in good collective decision-making is diversity. It's far more important than expertise, because experts are often prisoners of orthodoxy, and random people don't care about orthodoxy. They're outside the box. You want to hear from experts, but you don't want them on any of the panels. They should not be the ones making the decisions. This is the Healthy Democracy website. They're located in Oregon. They pioneered the Citizens Initiative Review process and helped write the Oregon law. And they're the group that conducts the panels. The icing on the cake is that Citizens Initiative Review creates an opportunity to improve the initiative process independent of any other campaign finance reforms. It acts to neutralize deceptive advertising without getting into First Amendment issues. CIR further creates opportunities for voters to participate in direct democracy. It sets standards for accuracy and careful analysis of the propositions that are currently missing from the California voting process. This graphically represents the process. 24 people chosen by lot. They work 4 days and are paid for their time. They produce a 750-word statement that every voter gets. They don't do every initiative. They do the controversial ones. Controversial as determined by polling, or how much money is being spent on advertising, or how high profile it is, or whether it impacts the state budget. The panel represents a cross-section of the state, and they do a stratified random sample. So the panel reflects the composition of the whole state as to age, gender, race, ethnicity, geographic distribution, voter frequency, educational attainment, which is a proxy for income, and political party. The panel sessions are public and transparent, but the full names of the panel and their hometowns are not public. A bit more detail about the process. There's 5 phases. Recruitment. 10,000 random voters get that letter inviting them to participate. Usually 500 or 600 respond. And from those, 20 to 24 are selected again at random. Then training. The panelists are taught how to listen to experts and partisans and how to distinguish horsepucky. Then how to deliberate with one another so that everyone is heard. Experts and advocates, pro and con, can testify, but unlike a jury trial, the panel can ask whatever questions they need to probe for the truth. The deliberation is facilitated by experts in deliberative process, and the panel examines policy trade-offs, costs, benefits, and underlying values. And then they produce that 750-word statement with key findings, best reasons to vote for and against. This is a statement crafted by a panel. The top section describes the process for the voter. The next section presents the key findings, starting with the most important of what the initiative would actually do, what would change and what would not change. The bottom 2 columns on the left is the 3 strongest reasons to vote for it and why they're important. And on the right, the 3 strongest reasons to vote against and why they're important. Again, this is printed in the voter pamphlet that's sent out by the Secretary of State. Citizens Initiative Review has been exhaustively studied. This website, the CIR Research Project, has gathered all the research on CIRs. For every CIR, there's been an independent oversight group monitoring the process and producing a report on its every aspect. And the upshot is, they work. This is feedback from a panelist. It's pretty typical. You sit on one of these panels and it's transformative. You become a believer for life. This is the Oregon bill that was passed. It established a commission that oversees the process. Some members of the commission are appointed by Republicans in the legislature, some by Democrats. There's also former panel moderators and former panelists on the commission, so it's truly nonpartisan. The commission chooses who the moderator of the CIR process will be, who runs the process. Healthy Democracy has done that. The commission also picks which initiatives get a CIR. The commission sets the criteria for how the panel is to be stratified, and it also establishes the procedure for picking the experts. And this should probably change in a California bill to give the panel itself more sway over what experts are called to testify. The bill does not provide money for CIR. Healthy Democracy has paid for itself through donations, and this is a problem. The state should allocate the funds. It costs about $120K for each 20-person panel. So that would be about $1 million if you ran a CIR on 10 propositions, and it should be indexed to inflation. This is my resolution. You've heard everything in it in this talk except the final resolves, which say that the California Democratic Party, to address the problems of misinformation and confusion that attend ballot propositions, supports including in the official state voter pamphlet brief, plain language ballot proposition statements developed by a body of voter peers that provide balanced, objective information to voters. And further, that the California Democratic Party recognizes that inclusion of peer statements in the voter pamphlet will increase voter engagement and thoughtful participation in the voting process, produce better decision-making, better policy-making, and more voter confidence in the democratic process. That's the presentation. Thanks so much for your attention. If you have any questions for me, see the link below and you can email me. Thanks again.